Hi guys and welcome to IAMABIKER, and finally we have ridden the Aprilia RS 457. So what's it all about? Does it have good brakes? Is the plastic quality good? Let's find out all this and more. And before we get into the details of the Aprilia RS 457, a huge thanks to Aprilia Vespa showroom in Indiranagar called Affine Automotive for giving us the bike. Huge thanks to them. And if you want a discount code for the accessories for the Aprilia RS 457, check out the description. They are giving a special discount code for all the IAMABIKER viewers. So check it out. So as always, let's start with engine and performance, and I think this is where the Aprilia RS 457 really shines. The parallel twin engine with the 270-degree firing order. First of all, it sounds great. It sounds like one of those bigger Aprilias out there as well. And probably not that loud, but yeah, when you start the bike and when you hear it in idle and when you hear it fly by and when you hear it scream as well, it sounds really good. Another great thing that I like about the Aprilia RS 457 engine is that it's very tractable. You would think that a sports bike like this would have all its power available only at above 7,000-8,000 RPM. But the gearing and the way that engine has been designed or sorted out is such that you have enough bottom end torque. We have a lot of torque available even in something around the 3,000-4,000 RPM. That means that you can use this as your daily bike as well. So second, third gear, even in fifth gear, you can actually come down to close to 30 and still pull away cleanly. So I'll tell you how much mileage we got with our highway and city riding a little bit later. But the key fact is that with enough bottom end torque available, it is a pleasure or it's really pleasant to ride in the city as well. And while talking about city riding, the engine does get heated up. So if you're not in your riding gear, you do feel that heat, some of it thrown at your thighs and your legs, etc. But it's not bad, and it is expected of a higher capacity bike like this. So it's not a problem. It's just something that you will get used to eventually. And talking about city riding, that's one place you'll be using the gearbox a lot. Probably one place I did not like this entire package is the gear shift and basically the gear feel. It's not as sharp and precise as you would think a bike in this category would be. Something like the Aprilia would be actually. The gear lever, the way it changes the gear, it feels a little bit loose and a little bit clunky. I wish it was like sharp and you get a really good feeling out of it. I mean, there's no problem in the way it functions. I'm talking about the way it feels. We did not have the quick shifter on this version. So maybe clutchless upshifts and downshifts would be a little bit better, but again, that you need to be a little bit higher RPMs for that to work as well, right? The clutch is light, so that's one good thing. But even then, the way the gearbox feels, especially when you're shifting it, probably is one place Aprilia can improve on the RS 457. So quite surprisingly, even with my weight, which is close to 100 kilograms with all the riding gear and everything, the bike did a top speed of 195 kilometers. When the bike came out, I saw a couple of guys hitting 200 on the bike, and I was like, I will never come anywhere close to that because those guys are all average height and weight and not huge like me. But surprisingly, even with me on board, the bike pulled quite cleanly all the way to about 190. And then maybe the last 4 or 5 kmph, I had to probably tuck down and stretch it till that 195. But yeah, that's quite surprising. I'm really happy that this bike is capable of doing something like that. Speaking about the refinement at these speeds and at these higher RPMs, there's a small area maybe around the 4,500, probably the 4,200 to 4,700 mark there, where you feel a little bit of vibrations, feel it in the handlebars and on the pegs. But this is not annoyingly a problem. It can be disguised and said like the character of the bike. It is fun, and trust me, on this bike you'll always be either way past these RPMs or just breezing through these RPMs once in a while. So it's not annoying, but yeah, it's something that is there. Coming to the mileage part, well, on our stint with the bike, we were doing the top speed runs, we were doing high speed runs, and some city rides, most of it, but was outside the city and on the highways where we could really test this machine out. because we were pushing it all the time and keeping the revs up and keeping it 170, 180 plus pretty much whenever possible, the mileage was hovering around the 21, 22 mark. But I feel on an average use like city, highway and normal riding, and once in a while being very happy with the throttle, I think you should get 25 plus quite easily. And I believe if you are maintaining a decent sane speed and cruising on the highways, it can even be close to 30 without any problem. Alright, now coming to handling and braking, and this is where the Aprilia RS 457 shines. A little bit of controversy in the braking part, which I will get to you right after speaking about the handling. Now, the handling is probably, I think, one of the best in the class. The bike weighs just about 170, 172 kgs. It feels very intuitive. The moment you sit on it and you look at where you want to go and when you're tackling a corner, you just figure out the line you want to keep, and the bike just does it for you. I mean, it's very intuitive. It's very learner friendly. It's very pro friendly as well. So once you're on the bike, it feels light. The riding position probably is a little bit cramped for taller riders, say maybe about 5'10" and above, because you don't feel naturally like on the bike for taller riders. But yeah, anybody below 5'10" should be extremely comfortable, and the handling will be excellent. And even for taller riders, handling is still excellent, just that you feel a little bit cramped, especially the knees, etc. But it's very intuitive. You can handle pretty much anything, and I'm not talking just about road, even our city traffic, you feel comfortable. Suspensions surprisingly take up bad roads quite well, so it can handle all scenarios quite well. And of course, it feels the best while you're pushing it around a corner, and it feels very natural, and it will always make you a better rider every time you tackle a corner. So now coming to the braking on the Aprilia RS 457, there has been a lot of talk about brake fade and how people are worried about wanting to upgrade their brakes right after they buy the bike. Well, with my experience on the bike which we had done was a dealership bike, and it had, at least on the Speedo, on the Odo, done maybe about 100-200 kilometers, but I believe it has done much more than that with the Speedo disconnected. But yeah, this time it was connected, and it is a proper test ride bike right now. What I felt is that in a normal riding condition, like for example your daily use, your highways, and you're not going to push the brake so much where the fade and everything comes into play. But that said, even with ours, burst into the bike, and where we pushed, we braked hard, the brake fade was not that evident, and it never really was a problem. Like even braking down from like 150 plus, not just once, multiple times to to get the proper top speeds and acceleration timings, etc. It did not feel like a problem anywhere, even with riding in the city, even riding with where you need constant braking and sudden braking as well. It never felt like a problem. So on the stock setting, I did not feel the brake to be as big as an issue that everybody has been talking about. It's absolutely fine. So another thing I want to add in the suspension bit is that it is preload adjustable at the front and the rear. So in case you are a heavier guy, you can, or you want a certain type of feel from the suspensions, you can set it up for that. And like I said earlier, the suspension at the stock setting itself is pretty good. It handles the road and our bad roads quite well. We did not take it like off-road. This bike is not meant for that. So when we stuck to the road, and it handled everything quite well. Actually, we did not mess with the suspension settings. Even with its stock settings, it felt absolutely fine around a corner. I personally would have liked a little bit more preload in front, because it would have reduced the nosedive for me. But I like a little bit less nosedive at front, especially at hard braking, etc. So it felt fine, and the fact that it is preload adjustable at both ends is also a very good point, especially if you plan to hit the tracks and push yourself and the bike over there. I think a lot of people are a little bit skeptical about the TVS Pro Torque tires that come stock on the Aprilia RS 457. Well, I'm happy to report that it's really good. It handled everything that we threw at it quite well. Hard braking, corners, lento, good lean angles, city riding, everything. It handled it quite well. So there is no need to be worried about these tires in any way. We did not get to try it out in the wet because it's already quite dry everywhere, but yeah, everything that we could possibly throw at it, it handled it quite well. It's got good edge grip, even leant over, and when you whack open throttle, of course there is the electronics and the traction control and everything helping you as well. But even with all that dialed down, we were at ATC1 and with the full power mode, and everything was fine. I mean, leant over, when you whack open the throttle, it still holds its line. It doesn't feel wobbly, or there is no point where you ever feel that this tire is not giving you enough grip. So I'm really happy to say that these tires are really good on the bike, and probably of course there are better tires, so probably till you get used to the bike, and probably next set when you change it, you can go to something even better. But yeah, these tires do just fine for all conditions out there. And now coming to the build quality on the Aprilia RS 457. Well, there is a certain type of build quality that comes to your head when you think about Aprilia, right? You've seen the bigger bikes and you've seen how well sorted, even the little bit wire routing and the plastic quality, etc. This bike looks every bit as an Aprilia. It looks like a proper sibling to the bigger bikes out there. But when it comes to the plastic quality and the wells and the wire routing and smaller attention to detail, probably that's the right word, it could be a little bit better. I'm not saying it's bad in any way. I mean, there is no angle in which this bike looks bad. It looks gorgeous in every angle. I love the tail light. It looks like a proper big Aprilia bike. But yeah, small attention to detail and of course some panel plastic qualities here and there could have been a little bit better. I know it's been built to a cost, etc., but that's no excuse, right? The Aprilia brand, we expect a certain quality. It can be a lot better. Probably it's already there 95% of what we expect, but the last 5% of that attention to detail and that build quality would have made the price tag and the ownership experience, the feel of it, much better. So one thing a lot of people asked us who wanted answers to is the seat comfort. In fact, actually the pillion seat comfort, if it is good on the Aprilia RS 457. Well, it is good for the city ride. It is good for maybe a sub 150 200 kilometer ride, but yeah, not for long rides because it's not that big of a space, and it is technically a sports bike as well, so it's not going to be really comfortable. Yeah, but for the most part of it, if you're just going to hang out in the city, small city ride, sub 150 kilometers just outside the city, it's going to be fine, and your pillion will be happy with that. But yeah, longer rides, this is definitely not a bike that needs to have a pillion, and in fact, you as a rider will not feel comfortable as well, with having a pillion behind you for a long ride. So who's the Aprilia RS 457 for? Well, in fact, anybody. First of all, it looks great. The build quality is good. It performs really well, and it handles very well. And all the problems or the talk of it having bad brakes, it's not that bad. It's absolutely fine for 99.9% of use cases. Basically, anybody who's upgrading from a smaller capacity bike, anybody who wants a bigger bike but does not have the budgets for something that like 7, 8, 9, 10 lakh rupees, you'll have a lot of fun on the Aprilia RS 457. There are little bit quirks here and there which I told you about earlier, but none of these are deal breakers. It feels and performs absolutely great. I personally love the white color. I think that is something that brings out the design of the bike. I personally love that. Of course, there are 2 other color options as well. And if you're too worried about the committed riding position, well, you now have the tuner as well. So that is another option. We'll be riding that soon, and a detailed review on that as well coming up. Don't forget to check out the discount code below for discounts on accessories for the Aprilia RS 457. And once again, huge thanks to Affine Automotive, Indiranagar, Bangalore for giving us the bike. If you have any questions, do let us know in a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.